Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And a very good evening to you and a warm welcome to Newsline Live. My guest this evening is a legal expert of sorts, really. President's Counsel. Is also the legal secretary of the SJB with a very successful practice. He's here to express his concern that's on something that is going to be affecting every Sri Lankan for several years to come. So current generation, future generations too. And who better than President's Counsel, Mr. Thisath Wijayagunawardane. Very good evening to you.
Very good evening to you, Faraz.
Thank you very much for being on the program. Now, you are very concerned about a matter that will affect Sri Lanka for several years to come, and that is, of course, the controversy surrounding the Yugadanavi power plant in Kerawali-Pittiya, this combined cycle power plant, and it's also the power plant where a company based in the United States, New Fortress Energy, have made a play for. Now, what is the most controversial part of this transaction?
Most controversial part, I think there are two parts in the transaction.
Yeah.
First part is the sale of this 40% shares held by the Treasury to New Fortress Energy.
Right.
Second part is the more serious part.
Yeah.
That is where the cabinet has authorized the purchase of LNG for a period of 5 years.
Right.
From that comes to about $3 billion US.
Over 5 years.
Over 5 years, without any transparency, without any tender process, and on an unsolicited proposal.
So let's get this right. This significant purchase, which is going to affect the energy security of our country for many years, has been entered into on the basis of an unsolicited bid.
That's an unsolicited proposal, and the saddest part is, in my view, that the cabinet had approved this procurement even without knowing what the price formula is.
Really? So just a blanket approval?
A blanket approval. The price formula, in the cabinet paper, they have set out two price formulas.
Right.
And they have said either these two price formulas or whatever is beneficial for the country.
Right.
But who decides which price formula is beneficial for the country
or not
is the Ministry of Mr. Basil Rajapaksa.
So that's the Ministry of Finance.
That's the Ministry of Finance.
Okay.
So that
not the line ministry, which would be the Ministry of Power and Energy.
This cabinet paper has been submitted by Mr. Basil Rajapaksa as the Minister of Finance.
Right. And this is deeply worrying.
Deeply worrying, because in fact here the cabinet, my view, the cabinet has breached the public trust. We all know that the sovereignty of people, sovereignty is with the people. People have entrusted those powers to the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive.
Right.
Those powers must be used by the executive or the legislature or the judiciary for the benefit of the people, and they must safeguard the rights of the people.
But it appears that they have cast all these to the winds.
That's our complaint. That's why so many parties are before the Supreme Court challenging this cabinet decision. And
is it all right if we discuss this matter?
I can discuss, not the case, but I can discuss as a citizen of this country.
Yeah.
I think I'm entitled to discuss.
Okay. Well, you're the lawyer.
Yes.
So I'm putting my faith in you.
Yes.
All right. So I just want to clear that up, because in recent weeks, and I'm going to ask you about this, but in recent weeks we've had cases where the Attorney General's Department have indicted various people, and then there's been a flurry of withdrawals of those indictments. And honestly, I don't think that I've read anywhere yet the reason for that. And I'm thinking to myself, the Attorney General's Department it's not the decision of one person. The process, as I understand it, is that there is a process, there's a chain, and honestly, it's the best of the best, the creme de la creme of our legal brains come there. And for me, as a member of the public, to read that all these indictments were brought forward and then they've been withdrawn, it's beyond a joke. For my comprehension, that's beyond a joke. I don't know. I mean, maybe you can throw some better light on it.
Perhaps we all have that concern.
Yeah.
And most of these indictments have been filed by the then AG, who is the Honorable Chief Justice now.
Yeah.
AG comes to the conclusion to indict somebody,
Yeah.
after studying what is placed before them,
Right.
and that is whatever the police has found in their investigations. If the AG is satisfied with those material found in the investigation that some person could be charged, then only AG takes a decision to indict that person or to file an action against that person.
I mean, to err is human, okay?
Yes.
Therefore, if one has erred, isn't it incumbent somewhere along the line for the Attorney General's Department to issue a simple statement to say, look, we are withdrawing these because of ABC? Why are we not treated to that kind of information? If everything is transparent, then that should be too.
I believe certain information have been requested from the AG's department by some members of Parliament. I have seen that on the news, one of the news items. I think what you say is correct, that when there is a public outcry, to know what in fact is happening, to know whether on what grounds that these indictments have been withdrawn, I think there should be some clarification from whoever is responsible.
It's almost like an audit process. We the people pay them, and we expect, and we've given them certain powers, and we've given them a certain amount of trust, and we expect them to carry out their functions to the benefit of the people. And I don't think that a few people should be deciding this and then ignoring the wider public and saying, well, we're not going to tell you.
As I told you earlier, every public servant should protect the public trust. They can't breach the public trust.
What happens when the public trust has been breached and that there is a clear deficit of trust?
That is a big issue now. We have to now. I don't want to single out one institution.
No.
We have seen most of the institutions, the public officers in most of the institutions, they don't care about the public trust. For various reasons, they breach the public trust and go scot-free. We have seen that, and wherever we can take action, we have taken action. But there are instances where we can't take action.
I mean, the latest thing, of course, I'll come back to the Yugadanavi power transaction, which is what we want to base our conversation this evening on. But yesterday, I think it was yesterday, yes, yesterday, we had a decision of sorts in one of the the alleged bond scam matter, in which we had one person, well, not one, several people actually, who were charged originally under the Public Property Act, and yesterday there was a ruling that they couldn't sustain that, and that they were forced in a way to withdraw the charges in terms of the Public Property Act. Now, some of these people spent 11 months in remand. They lost their freedom temporarily, but for 11 months, on the basis of the Attorney General's Department choosing to charge them under the Public Property Act. Surely there must have been some considerable thought process in what the AG's department described as the greatest scam ever inflicted on the people of Sri Lanka. If they failed there, I mean, what's the point? In a way, you know, Mr. Arjuna Mahendran, the former governor, and I'm not holding any candle to him, but I remember some time back, right way back then, we had a letter, I think, from Mr. Mahendran's father, Charlie Mahendran, and he wrote, if I'm not mistaken, that he didn't feel that his son would get a proper trial. Well, you know, in retrospect, if he had been here, he would have been charged under the Public Property Act, presumably, because the others were.
Yes.
He would have been locked up, and then yesterday he would have found out that it was all wrong. I think that's terribly unfair. What do you say? I mean, we're supposed to be talking the law, but, you know, we have every faith in the system, and when the system appears to have gone haywire.
No, it's true, but I think AG also can make a mistake. AG also can make a mistake.
Okay.
At the same time, we are also mindful as lawyers that all those accused, they are also have been gravely prejudiced. So we are concerned about this. I think now it's time for people to be alert about it and to take some action to prevent any further deterioration.
You know, I've got a message from a member of the public from Gaul this morning, complaining to us that it's unbelievable, and they're saying that even the culprits to do with the alleged bond scam appear to be getting away scot-free. This is the complaint from a member of the public who's reacting to yesterday's news. That's a sad situation.
In fact, what I read from the papers is that the Honorable Attorney General has taken time, has asked for an adjournment to consider whether to amend the indictment or to withdraw or to take what action should be taken. In the light of this judgment, I hope and pray that the Attorney General's Department will take a proper. Still, I have faith in in some officers of the Attorney General's Department, and I trust that they will take some action to bring all these culprits before the court of law and punish them for what they have done.
Provided that the process goes through and legally,
yes,
and so on. Right, now then.
But with all that, I must say that we have lots of faith in our judicial system. If you see
Mr. Wijayagunawardane, you have faith in the system, you say that. And I'm sat here wondering, you know, we covered this blessed alleged bond scam since 2015 in March. We spent hours and hours and hours in sending this message across to the people, to point out to the people that they've been let down and that some action needs to be taken. A governor who didn't receive his extension, the finance minister was changed, there was a special commission of inquiry, and now to find out that the AG has made a mistake? Come on.
My personal opinion is that I have doubts whether we have enough legal framework to tackle a complicated issue like that.
So what do we do then? Do we import judges?
No. In fact, we could have. I think we have to sit and think whether we need better laws, and then we must take. I think that is for the legislature to introduce those laws, because these certain legal mechanism, our legal mechanisms with regard to certain issues, especially with regard to the financial sector, I don't think there is enough legal framework to tackle certain issues like this bond scam, because this is insider dealing. Right? Bond scam is the allegation, is the insider dealing. So we don't have the legal framework, in my view, to tackle that situation. So that is the first thing any government should have done if they really want to.
Mr. Thisath Wijayagunawardane, let's go for a small break. But before that, I want to point out to you that back in the days when Sri Lanka didn't appear to have specialists, and I'm referring to that very famous murder case, the Thisath case, we had Professor Sidney Smith come over from the UK to work out the time of death, because they felt that they didn't have the necessary expertise then. And perhaps that's something that we want to talk about after this short break.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
Welcome back to Newsline Live, and thank you very much for all your questions by SMS, WhatsApp on 0772 300 305. My long-suffering producer Harshanam will certainly put that on the screen. And here, look, I've got to read this one out, Mr. Thisath. I think this is just another promise that is broken by this government, who promised to bring the bond scam culprits to book. I'm sorry, but your guest sits there and says he has faith in the judiciary. Sorry, pal, we the public don't. Sad thing is, for every honest lawmaker there are 100 charlatans. Please read this out. I have read it out. Now then, is this another broken promise?
I have to agree with that listener because of the reason. Any legal expert would have advised that the present law is not adequate to bring justice in this matter. When the law is not adequate in the past, for example, in 1980s, you may recall, there was a Sri Lankan who hijacked a plane.
Yes.
We didn't have laws to punish that person. So the government brought new laws. There was a crime committed. So government was prompt to bring a new law with the retrospective effect and punish that person. So if this government really wanted to punish who was involved in the bond scam, right? I think what they should have done first thing was to bring adequate new law to fill the gaps, and then to take legal action against them.
Let's get back to the Yugadanavi power plant project. What's the most serious concern here? Is it the supply of the LNG?
It's a supply of the LNG. I think my view is, even the first part, the sale of the 40% is also we have to be concerned about that, because there is no transparency in that deal as well. But the most disadvantageous part is the procurement of LNG by authorizing the procurement of LNG from this company, American company.
But this is against the national procurement guidelines.
That is against the national procurement guideline. National procurement guidelines, there are two policies we have. One is the energy policy, which was introduced in 2019, and there is another policy, LNG policy, which was introduced last year.
Right.
So in both policies, the procurement of LNG
Yeah.
should be transparent. It should be transparent. It should be by way of an international bidding process. What the cabinet had done is that they have disregarded all those policies. These policies, we have to understand that policies were prepared by the experts in those fields, having taken the views of the stakeholders, all the stakeholders and the general public, and having considered all those matters, they have drafted those policies in order for the benefit of the people. So those policies have even been gazetted by the relevant ministers. So cabinet can't ignore that. Cabinet can't ignore those policies.
And what can the people do? What can we do? Can the people sue them?
Yep, that's why people, not only the political parties, Samagi Jana Balawegaya as a political party has challenged that.
Yeah.
In addition to that, some other political parties, and also the Cardinal, and also Venerable L.A. Gunawardane, they have gone to courts. That we are challenging. They are challenging that cabinet decision to procure the LNG without any transparency.
So we have the laws that the people can
we have because it's a violation of fundamental rights under that is equality before law, that which is guaranteed by Article 12(1) of the Constitution.
And what is the part that precludes the government from entering into contracts when those contracts are sort of a one-off, unsolicited bid?
You can even the unsolicited bid, there should be they can go for a Swiss challenge.
Yes.
Yeah, which is now if the government needs money, dollars.
Yeah.
If they want to sell it, right? When there is a unsolicited proposal, this has been there for about 1 year. This is not a proposal that just came yesterday. That proposal had been there for about 1 year, and they could have gone for a Swiss challenge, some transparent method. Just because they need money, they can't just ignore all those methods and do it in a very illegal way. You can't do that because cabinet can't approve such a deal.
But it's absolutely crazy that these things are happening. You know, when is the public going to have a set of legislators who care and who do what they promised to do when they exchanged those promises for a vote from the public? When is this going to happen?
Cabinet and the legislature can do wrong.
Yeah.
So that is why the judiciary is there to look after that.
But is the judiciary independent and strong enough?
Judiciary has shown so far that it is independent, and most of the time the judiciary has intervened,
but you know,
and protected the rights of the people.
Yes, there's one RR, Ranjan Ramanayaka, not the other RR. This Ranjan Ramanayaka, this RR. Ranjan Ramanayaka is serving some time for contempt of court, I believe. But, you know, during those times, we had all these tapes. You know, it was like a kind of a mini Watergate, or even bigger than Watergate. And in these tapes, allegedly, we had we had judges talking to him about about various cases. Surely that's completely out of order. You can't tell me that the judiciary... okay, I know you'll say that the judiciary is not all flawed, but there are flaws. And this is one particular flaw. We had the case of Mr. Azad Saleh. 9 months he lost his, he lost his liberty, and the judge was highly critical of how he actually came to being arrested and incarcerated under the Prevention of Terrorism Act, a draconian law if ever there was one, right? And then 9 months later. And they're saying, all right, you can go home now, Mr. Saleh, you know.
It is, you can't put the blame on the judiciary for that. That is the process. That is the, if at all, that is, you can put the blame on the police department for that, but not on the judge. And finally,
but then shouldn't those police officers in that case, shouldn't they be hauled up before the courts and jailed for dereliction of duty?
That is, I think, out of the jurisdiction of that court.
See, you see my frustration. But at every point there is a opt-out clause, and everybody gets away with it. What is Mr. Saleh supposed to do?
Finally, what has saved Mr. Saleh is the independence of the judiciary in this country.
Well, I must agree with that.
Yes, that's and what we have to be concerned about is not the judiciary, but we have to concern about the people who make false allegations for political or whatever the other, for collateral reasons.
Shouldn't those people be jailed?
In fact, there is a process. If somebody file an action against you or make a complaint against you, there are certain civil action that you can take against.
So you can sue them, and
you can
hopefully
sue them,
they won't have the money hidden away under the mattress or with Daisy Archie or something like that.
So you can take legal action against the person who made the false complaint and who was prosecuting you in a wrong manner.
Right, now, so this Yugadanavi deal, with, you know, the people have gone to court, but the biggest problem here is that they are proposing to get one company to supply the LNG for a period of 5 years without any kind of price formula or anything of the sort.
The saddest, as I told you earlier, the saddest part is the cabinet does not see what the price formula is. Cabinet does not see what the agreement that the government is going to sign with the company to procure these LNG for 5 years, and that which can be extended for 10 years. If it is extended for 10 years, that will be $6 billion US. That is 1,200 billion rupees.
I need, this is the last few seconds, I need a very short answer. Does your guest believe that the tools and the will exist to prosecute those who have plundered the public purse?
Yes, I do.
Well, Mr. Thisath Wijayagunawardane, thank you very much.
Thank you.
30 minutes flies when we're talking about corruption. So maybe the powers that be will give us a few more minutes more. Who knows? It might happen. On that note, take care. Have a great evening ahead of you. And as always,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.